Let's write the decimal as fraction in simplest form. So what's repeating is a 45, and because there are two digits that are repeating, we want to put that over two nines. For 2, we want to write each fraction in decimal form. So I know how to write things in decimal form when there are over 9. So let's multiply the top and the bottom by 9. So this will be 36 over 99. So there's two digits at the top, two digits at the bottom. That means that 36 is going to be repeating. Now the next one, this is 6 and 3/5. So we know that's going to be 6 point. Now in order to figure out what decimal this should be, pretend there's a 0 here. And do 30 divided by 5, that's going to give me 6. So the answer is 6.6. For 3, we have negative 13.2 minus negative 6.3. Two minuses is going to give us a plus. So this is negative 13.2 plus 6.3. So it's really going to, we know it's going to be a negative number, and we know we have to subtract these two. So when we subtract, we should get 6.9. For 4, we want to multiply these two fractions. The way to do this is to rewrite it as an improper fraction. So this will be 7 times 1 plus 3 is 10 over 7. And then 8 times 6 is 48, plus 5 is 53. Now the 10 and the 8 simplify if we divide both by 2. Because we have a positive times a negative, we're going to have a negative answer. In the denominator, 7 times 4 gives us 28. And then 5 times 53 is 265. If we want, we can simplify this further and say how many times is 28 going to 265? That's going to be 9. Remainder 13. So either one of these is our answer. Okay, for 5, we have a skydiver ascends 114 feet in 6 seconds. Express the rate of the skydiver's change in height as a unit rate. So ascends means he's going up. So that's 114 feet per 6 seconds. So dividing this, 114 divided by 6 is going to give me 19. And so this will be 19 feet per second. Next, let's simplify the expression by applying the distributive property. So this one we have to multiply negative 8 to 3 1/4 and 3. So there's a couple ways to do this. If you want, you can separate 3 1/4 as just 3 plus 1/4 plus 3, and then apply the distributive property to all of these. So negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. Negative 8 times 1/4 is negative 2. And then negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. So this will be negative 50 after we simplify. Now the other way is just to rewrite 3 1/4 as an improper fraction. So that's 3 times 4 plus 1 is 13. Now we have negative 8 over 1 times 13 over 4. And then plus negative 8 times 3. So 8 and 4 is going to give me 2 and 1. So this is negative 2 times 13 is negative 26. And this will be negative 24. And that also gives me negative 50. So as you can see, this first method is much easier to do. For 7, we want to simplify the expression. So we can either use order of operations or distributive property. It's easier to use order of operations, so let's start out inside the parentheses. So we have negative 6 plus 2. And now we evaluate what's inside the parentheses to get 5. Okay, now we have addition and multiplication, so we're going to do multiplication first. 2 times 5 is 10. And finally we can add it to get 4. 8, let's circle the irrational numbers. So for part A, this is a decimal that stops. So this can be expressed as a fraction. This will just be negative 47 over 10. So this one is rational. Square root of 3 is irrational, since it's not a perfect square. C has a repeating pattern, so this one is rational. D can be expressed as a fraction, obviously, so this one is rational. But E is irrational, so this one we want to include. So this is like 2.7, etc. There is no repeating pattern for that. So we want to use these inequalities to complete each statement. So 5 versus square root of 5. Well, square root of 5 is always, the square root function is always smaller than the original number. So this will be greater. Now, square root of 169 is 13. So we're comparing negative 14 and negative 13. Negative 13 is greater. Square root of 144 is 12. So these are equal. Now, this last one is tricky because I don't know what square root of 7 is exactly. So what I'm going to do instead is square both sides. So if I square square root of 7, the square and the square root will cancel, and I'm left with 7. And if I square 5 halves, that's going to be 25 over 4. So just square the 5 and the 2. At this point, if you don't know what it is, if you want, you can rewrite the 25 over 4 as a mixed number. So this will be 6 and 1/4. So we know 7 is greater. So that means the square root of 7 is greater than 5 halves. Okay, a rock climber climbs from the bottom of a canyon that is 14 3/10 feet below sea level to the top of a small mountain that is 25 4/5 feet above about sea level. Actually, that's a typo. I should say above. What is the difference in elevation between the bottom of the canyon and the top of the mountain? So this is our sea level. And let's say this is the bottom of the canyon. And this is the mountain. So let's look here. We have 14 3/10 below sea level. So this distance right here is 14 3/10. And then the small mountain is 25 4/5 feet above sea level. So if you want to see the difference in elevation, what you have to do here is just add them. So what we're doing is adding 25 4/5 plus 14 3/10. And what we could do is just add the whole numbers first. 25 and 14 is 39. And then we can add the fractions. So to add the fraction, you want to get a common denominator. So the common denominator is going to be 10. And then when I multiply 5 to get to 10, that has to be 2. 4 times 2 is 8. Add this, we have 8 plus 3 is 11. So I can rewrite this as 39 plus 1 1/10, which is just 40 1/10. And this is going to be feet. And that's our answer.